church boy. Anyway, I was
Okay.
spending time with him, and he was getting watched every other day by like another Courtney. So we had two Courtneys, and this sweet little boy had asked his mom, "Who's watching me today? The loud Courtney?" And I got back to me, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm the loud Courtney." It was pretty embarrassing, and also she's absolutely lovable. Like the other Courtney is
Yeah.
just very soft spoken. She's just a very tender presence, like absolute gift. And I never thought of myself as being the loud Courtney.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of fun that, like, it's like kind of was like, okay, take a breath. That's not a bad thing. It just means we're just a bit different. And that was also helpful, being more aware of my own personality. Like, I just tend to be more energetic, for better or for worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think about the loud Courtney at the moment being too much. And it didn't say it was a bad thing.
Hey, Epiphany Tribe. It's your girl, Tiffany. And today with me, I have Courtney. And she's going to give herself a little bit of an intro, and then we're going to jump into this conversation.
Hey, I'm Cortney Loui. I am a Christian life coach, speaker, mom to two kids. One's an autistic kiddo, and married to my best friend. I love helping Christian women stop second guessing themselves and beating themselves up for who they're not, and instead
Mm.
start embracing who God designed them to be. They can have more fun being the person God created them to be.
I love that. That's such a good thing because I feel like a lot of us struggle
Yeah.
to, step into that identity that God has for us. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Let's just start off with a semi-simple question, I feel like
Yeah.
maybe. So many Christian women feel the pressure to become somebody different in order to live our lives. We tend to think that we're supposed to fit some certain box, right? So how does understanding our personality wiring, sorry, can help us experience more freedom and self-compassion?
I love this question. Obviously, we could geek about this indefinitely. So I will try to rein it in. But you're right. It's so easy to feel that pressure from the culture around us. I'd even say within church culture, sometimes we push that narrative of, well, you need to be this way to be a godly woman. And what I've
Mm,
found with walking with fellow, who I call beloveds, with discovering who God created them to be, discovering their unique personality, their wiring, it gives you language for articulating the way you see the world. And
mm,
I prefer the lens of it's neutral. There's not a better way to look at the world. There's not a worse. Of course, there's sinful, there's integrity issues. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just
yeah,
your innate personality. And when you have that language, it helps reduce some of that pressure that you need to be like Tiffany or you need to be like Courtney. You can just be who God created you to be and start walking it out and have a lot more fun doing that.
okay, I love that. So, like, give me like a quick rundown if you're talking to like a client like who's struggling, what does that look like within like your realm and your sessions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I really like to approach it from we kind of have this cyclical journey because let's be real, as a Christian, you're never done walking it out with God. And thank
True.
goodness we are never done. So a lot of what we first start with exploring how do we actually see the way that what God calls us. So it's an opportunity to dig into what are those voices we've been carrying around that may be from
Mm,
Him, they may be from others, they may be from yourself experiences, those kinds of different things, and filtering down what's actually true and what's not true, what's not serving you. And then we really dig into what is your personality. So I like to use personality assessments. The MBTI is my favorite. There's
mm,
plenty others that are wonderful, but that's my jam. So we start with that. But really, we go through the assessment and then we dig into what does that look like? What do you actually identify with? Because in some ways, who cares what the assessment says if it doesn't connect with you? We figure it out, what your preferences tend to be and then we dig deeper into what that looks like in your actual life. And we get to explore your
right.
temperament. Anyway, I could go further cognitive functions. So it's really incorporating that together. And then when you're able to explore that, then we can start applying it to what are your values? What are your priorities? And merging those strengths and those limitations together to
Mm,
help you pursue what matters most to you. So
mm,
it's something you keep coming back to, but they all mesh together. Does that make
right.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, it totally makes you're kind of speaking
Okay.
my language. So
Yes.
I love assessment tests. I thrive on figuring out all the things. And so my audience tends or knows this already about me, but I have a background in psychology and in social work. And so those kinds of personality tests and stuff and assessments are like really the groundwork, when you're working with clients and stuff like that. So I love
Yeah.
Myers-Briggs. I mean, I love them all, but Myers-Briggs is probably one of my favorites just because it's one of the first ones that I ever did.
Mhm.
Like, God really used that to kind of help me get into a place of discovering my identity and how He made me and how I would function within the world because of that. And that's
Yeah.
really what opened up my whole world, as far as, okay, who is Tiffany? How do I function within this world? So then I moved from there to like love languages and then to
Mhm.
spiritual gifts, which, obviously look a little bit more important. But, it was just really awesome the more that I dove into all those different kinds of things that I began to realize, okay, God, you did know what you were doing, you know? Like,
Right.
with how He created me and how I function within the different groups and different dynamics. Because I feel like it fluctuates a little bit with certain dynamics, obviously,
Mhm.
because not in every scenario can you be like the leader or, some scenarios cause you to be like a little bit more reserved and not so
Mhm.
extroverted or,
Mhm.
different things like that. So,
That is
yeah.
awesome. I have to admit, when I creeped on you, I saw that you're a personality geek, and I'm like, I cannot wait to chat with her. This is gonna be so much fun. 'Cause yeah, it changes it.
Mhm.
Having that language, and I personally, in my own journey, it's been really insightful, like an epiphany, actually, I would have to say, was realizing, wait, what if this personality is actually a gift?
Yeah.
It's not better than someone else's, but it's actually intentionally given to you to unwrap, to enjoy. And what if, my preference is toward being future minded or, fill in the blank? What if that's actually another spiritual gift God's given me? I just haven't quite
Mhm.
figured out how to use it. And that gets exciting.
That's so okay, so we're gonna geek out, guys.
Yeah.
Stay with us, I promise. It's gonna be amazing. So the have you ever done strength finders?
That's a fun one
Oh,
too.
yes, that one.
It's so
So
good.
I don't remember how long ago it was, but they changed it from just your top 10, or sorry, just top 5 to your top 10. And I was a little bit behind the loop on that one. And so I'm just now discovering my other 5. And I'm like, whoa. you know, over here
Yeah.
going like, I had no idea that all this time I was using those strengths, but I didn't have words for it. I didn't
Hmm.
know why I was able to like jump into, different work scenarios or different friendship scenarios and be able to thrive in that because I was using those strengths and I had no idea. So it was another one of those moments where an epiphany, where I'm like, okay, like I get it now as to why like these are so important in my life personally and how I function within whatever dynamic that the Lord has put me in. I'm single. I'm in my mid 30s. Did I ever think that I was going to be mid 30s and single? No. But
Right.
there's so many things that like I've gone through in this journey and these different strengths and stuff that I've been able to use and I'm still using and developing to be a voice in this like realm that I'm in right now,
Hmm.
as well as like being able to minister to other singles, and I keep thinking about that the last like probably 9 months maybe, where if I was married right now with kids, I'm like, I would not be doing this. Like I would not be in probably wouldn't be in Texas. I wouldn't be walking the path that I'm doing right now and or walking right now. And it's like obviously I want all that stuff. I still want to be a mom. I want to be married and I want all of
Hmm.
those things, but it's been a huge shift in me where I'm now like, okay, I'm good. I'm content with where we're at. I'm good with the path that I'm walking and I'm so excited to see just how much more growth and development that I'm going to have in this continued singleness. But also, it's been so beautiful to really dive into those other 5 because I'm realizing how many of those, plus my top one as developer, how many of those really just weave into what I'm doing, like with the podcast, with my ministry, with the business that I'm trying to develop, and like all of that. It's just like, okay, it's like keep going back to Esther and being like such a time as this, right? I'm in this season and it's for whatever the ultimate reason is, but, I'm gonna step out and I'm gonna use these skills and these gifts that God has given me to do all these different things that I can for the kingdom. Because again, like, I know when I'm married, it's gonna be a little bit different. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, that was just a little bit of an off tangent, but
No, it's good.
I'm just loving it. Like, I love learning all of that stuff. So that's why I was excited to have this conversation too. 'Cause I'm like, I wonder how you do it all. But anyway,
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And I love that you've come to that, like, where you're in that state of, I'm going to embrace where I'm at. Because you also don't know how long you'll be in the season. It could
hmm
be for a time, it could be for a lifetime. And, like, I mean, that's so much life. We don't know. So
right,
why not go all in? And you don't want to be that servant who buried your talent. Like,
right,
you want to invest them, man.
yeah,
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 that's
for sure.
cool.
And I think that's like another thing that got me a few years back was I was just living this whole like, okay, he could be right around the corner. I can't do this because he could be right around the corner. So I kept catching myself um putting off life because I'm like, "Oh, I don't have my person yet." Like, I wanna do all of these things with my
Right?
person. And it was a real growth period for me to kind of have to sit back and realize how much I wasn't living because I thought things should have been different or, you know, I wanted them so different than they were that I kept trying to run towards that instead of, being on this clear path that God had me on. But that's really what got me was my pastor was talking about the talents and I've heard that parable so many sinking times, like in all the years, but for whatever reason, that particular Sunday, it was like, well, this one's for you, Tiffany, and you're gonna finally step out and use what you've been given instead of just sitting here waiting for the person who I really still hope and pray is coming, but in all honesty, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
that makes sense. You're making me think about Moses and God is like, "What's in your hand? A staff. Okay, use that staff. Use what you got, and then we'll go from there." Yeah,
Yeah. Ooh,
that's
that's good
huge.
too. That's good too. That's a that's a soundbite right there.
Tell you what, yeah. Yeah, it's been helpful. I know I come back to that sometimes when I'm just feeling unqualified or like I don't have enough capacity or, fill in the blanks. Like you said, it's so easy to think about, well, what if I'm not ready? Or what if, fill in the blank, these things happen, which
Mhm.
does matter. It's a good thing to look ahead. And
Right.
you don't want your fears, the future, your hopes about the future to hold you back from walking out your present.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Like, and that's the thing too, is like I love to travel. I'm such a travel nerd and I have a goal to eventually get all 50 states. I'm at 39, I think. 30, 39, which is impressive.
That's huge.
Yeah, but I mean I still want to tour other areas too, but like that's the big one is to get the rest of 50 states. Anyway, all that to say, I wasn't doing that because I'm like, I wanna do this with my husband. And
Right.
then all of a sudden, the last 2 years, I've knocked out, I think, 15 states, which is nuts. Um,
Yeah.
but I
Wow.
just was like, "Why? Why am I why am I sitting here not traveling?" And now I have friends all through over the country, which is amazing, you know, and I just get to, like, experience all this different stuff that I, again, want to experience with my husband, but
Mhm.
God has given me an amazing community that I can still do these things with while my husband and I are figuring things out, you know?
Right.
Like, obviously, because 'cause we're in different different seasons or in the same
Right.
season, but probably both developing in different ways. So, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway.
That's lovely. And let's be honest, whenever, if and when that happens, there's also plenty of places to explore in those 50 states that you probably haven't been to.
That is
And you
true.
also get to bring that experience of who Tiffany's been becoming by going on all those adventures. You get to bring that with you. You get to be
Mm.
like, well, we use the word hottie because we're still in our household. Hottie with a Y, thank you very much. But you get to be that hottie with all this like great experience underneath your belt and adventure. Like that's attractive.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
true. Thank you.
that's
That's
cool.
a good point.
Yeah.
So this next question, like a legit
Uh-huh,
question I have. I
uh-huh.
I personally struggle with the too much, like air quoting there, and or the not enough. And so like for the rest of the ladies out there who feel the same way as me, how can understanding the way that God wired us shift that internal narrative?
Absolutely. Oh, there's a reason I've been building a ministry on this because I
Yeah.
feel it. And it's everywhere. I know I just said that recently, but oh my goodness, it is everywhere. You get like you got your body being judged, your personality, your values, your life choices. It's so easy to feel like, how will I ever measure up?
Yeah.
And one thing I would love to offer in a non creepy, juicy, big compassionate hug is you are not that you are perfectly enough for the person God created you to be. Your job is to
Mm.
walk it out and explore it. It doesn't feel that way. We have those moments that it feels like we have a giant L on our foreheads. And that's not true. Um, but he created you intentionally and on purpose. And sometimes we think the gift is kind of lame. Like I don't want
Mm.
these gifts. But sometimes when we do that digging in and we better understand that wait, my passion for fill in the blank or I'm so logical or so emotional, whatever those different things are, that's actually intended for good. It changes it when you can start looking at it as wait, pause. This is actually
Mm.
something that God gave me intentionally on
Mhm.
purpose. Now my job is to explore it, to cultivate, grow that little plant, help it bloom.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Like, I think we get I mean, when you think of like social media and just like all those different like things, right? We have just like this whole comparison like mentality, right? Of it has to be this way or it has to be that way
Mhm.
or um the shoulds, just all those different
Yeah.
things. And so it's just kind of like, I think it's rough for women in general. And I'm not saying that guys, you don't struggle with this too, but like women in general, we have such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like block, I guess, when it
Hmm.
comes to being able to just not compare ourselves. And I don't know if this has something to do with like the original sin and like the fall and Eve's curse, or if it's just human nature in general to compare ourselves, right? But I don't know. I just feel I have a ton of guy friends and we have these kind of conversations, but I feel like with my girlfriends, it's so much more and deeper and rooted in the I'm not enough or I am too much. Like nobody can
Hmm.
ever love me, because of this one thing or all these things, right? And so anyway, it's a struggle.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There's so much input from the very beginning about what's not quite right with us, an
Mhm.
impossible standard. So a
Mhm.
funny story that comes to mind. So back when I was in graduate school, I was watching a little boy for my church. I'm sorry, I'm getting all tangled. My minister's son, not like a community church boy. Anyway, I was
Okay.
spending time with him, and he was getting watched every other day by like another Courtney. So we had two Courtneys, and this sweet little boy had asked his mom, "Who's watching me today? The loud Courtney?" And they got back to me, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm the loud Courtney." It was pretty embarrassing, and also she's absolutely lovable. Like the other Courtney is
Yeah.
just very soft spoken. She's just a very tender presence, like absolute gift. And I never thought of myself as being the loud Courtney.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of fun that like it's like kind of was like, okay, take a breath. That's not a bad thing. It just means we're just a bit different. Um, and that was also helpful, being more aware of my own personality. Like I just tend to be more energetic, for better or for worse. And yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think about the loud Courtney at the moment being too much. And he didn't say it was a bad thing, just loud.
That's so
So
funny. It's like I'm I didn't always used to be loud, but I am very loud now. And I get that all the time, like, you're so loud. And I'm like, just expressing myself. you know?
Right.
And I think it's okay to be expressive, so it's so funny 'cause, this is another, like, tie-in to my little growth story, right, is where I was so quiet as a kid. My parents, I was the one they forgot about, and they will tell you that I was the child that they were like, "Oh, yeah, you're here." But that's mostly due to the fact that my 2 other siblings at the time were just so much more involved, and, like, they were very loud and they kinda just controlled all the things. Um, like, not in horrible ways or anything, just, like, that was just how they were, and so I naturally took, like, a back seat and just was like, "I'm here. I'm so quiet and calm and cool and collected," and then I got to, like, teen years and realized I've been living a lie, and that was not me. And so now to, like, this day, my siblings are like, "Who are you? And, like, why are you so loud?" And all this stuff, and I'm like, "Well, I spent the first, like, 16, 17 years of my life being overshadowed by you, and then I decided no more, and now I just express all of the things." And so, it's just kind of funny because, like, our dynamics now are, like, really hilarious when all 4 of us are together because we have another younger brother, he was just born later, and so, anyway, it's just so funny when we all get together. My parents are like, "You guys are, like, a lot." And I'm like, "You raised us, so
Congratulations.
congratulations. We are the product of you." But,
That is
again, like, all
awesome.
that to say it's fun, though. I mean, I feel like at least we're not boring. But then, like, all that to say, too, it's still just really interesting to, like, see how because I've kinda come more into my own and been able to, like, have a voice in different ways than I had in the past to see, like, how the personalities shift within, like, the family
Mhm.
dynamics, and just to kinda see how we all kind of function now, and anyway, I could probably rant about that for a while, but I won't. But just it's just interesting, and I think it just really points to the growth of everybody and to, like, yes, we're one family unit, but we're all on different it's like God has different things
Mhm.
for us. And so how do you still function within your family unit, as you're all growing and at different stages too, Like 2
Right.
of my siblings are married, the youngest one and I are not. So then there's like nieces and nephews and like that even changes things and it's interesting to see how how growth happens and how God can, like, really show up within that, but then also, like where the train of thought just left, like, how he can show up within that, but then also, like, we still have to be willing to accept it too, if that makes any sense. Like, we still have to
Yeah.
go, "Okay, wait, yeah, like, things are different now, and that's okay, like,
Mhm.
growth happens, and we have to relearn who each other, like, is." So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you hit on a really fascinating part also about being human, and I'm sure you explored a bit in psychology, how, like, of course, you grow from birth onward, but often the teen
Mhm.
years and beyond when you're not within your when you're becoming an adult, the young adulthood years are often kind of when your personality becomes a bit more developed.
Right?
So an example that comes to mind, one of my one of my best roommates, she always thought that she was an introvert and we're apt to, I'm just really more reserved, don't want to spend time with a lot of people. And then when she went off to college, she realized, wait, I love being around people. Like this is my I want to be around people a lot more than I ever did when I was at home with my family. And she realized, oh, my mom, my dad, and my brother are all introverts. I am the token extrovert. And so it just has a different flavoring. And so like that part of her came out in a ways that it didn't come out as much within
Mhm.
our family dynamic. And it wasn't a bad family dynamic. It didn't really have a home. And so that was something that
Right.
really came out for her.
Yeah.
So I also remember a few years ago we met up and she also discovered since she was so aware of her extroversion preferences and just to make sure we're on the same page, extroversion doesn't mean you just like people and want to be around people all the time. Often it
Yeah.
means you just need external input to be energized. Let's say
Yeah.
if you're at home all the time, it might drive you crazy. So, and that was something that came up for her, but she realized I need to go into the office. I cannot work from home. I am not a
Yep.
healthy person. And being
Mhm.
aware of that was really helpful for her. That
Mhm.
again, that language, like, I'm not crazy. This helps me understand that I can do something with that. I think it's a gift of
Yes.
understanding your wiring.
Yeah, that's so good. Cause so I was a moonlit or I moonlit as a introvert. Nope. This girl is a through and through extrovert. And it
Yeah,
it took me until 2021 to realize that. And I mean, COVID was a hot mess, but we don't need to go down that route. But just as like being stuck at home was really
right.
what I figured it out. I was like, nope. um, and so then like in 2021, I was like, okay, we're gonna fully embrace this extrovert and we're gonna go have all of the external or input as possible.
Yeah,
And that's when I really started traveling again too, was during that time, like once we could, and it was so good. I'm like, wow, this is what I've been missing my whole life.
yeah,
And I didn't again, like I didn't have any idea. And it's funny because my family is a pretty good mix of introvert, extrovert. But I think because my other two siblings are very extroverted, I just was like,
mhm,
okay, I'm just gonna not. So, but yeah, I mean, I still have some times where I'm like, "Okay, I've extroverted a little bit too much," like, I need to just kinda
right.
take a chill day, but still, it's so beautiful to be like, "Oh, okay," like, I feel like I'm more living my identity now, like, now so more than ever, and it's so freeing, and to just be able to be like, "Okay, this is me. You like it or you don't."
Right.
And I'm gonna just keep walking this path that God has, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. That changes it. And also, let's just be honest, that confidence, that ease in your skin, it's just attractive. It's more fun to be around people who have that confidence.
Mhm.
Great for friendships and dating and so many other, like, it has a ripple effect. Doesn't guarantee marriages. I'm not saying that, but it changes that flavor, and that's it's just nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
that's also
does.
where, like, mhm.
Oh, I was just gonna say it does.
And yeah, well, like we're talking about extroversion, introversion, and then also if you add in the other layers, depending on the personality tool you're using, like MBTI, you get into intuition and sensing, and then you got the feeling, the thinking, the judging, perceiving, and then you add in all those different layers. It gives you more perspective about your unique way of being you in the world.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
also helps with figuring out what energizes you, what drains you. You can stop beating yourself up for why does this not work for me? Well, it literally doesn't work for me. That's okay.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. Okay, that's a good question. Like, what is for, um, I don't know. Okay, say I'm an ENFJ, right? Yeah. Hi.
Uh,
And
no,
so,
that's awesome. No wonder I liked you. I'm an ENFJ too. This is magical.
that's why. Okay. Hi.
Here,
uh,
yay! Cool. Okay,
yeah.
continue. Sorry, I got
So
excited.
no, it's okay. It's fun to find other E's or ENFJs, but because I guess so, like I thought I was an INFJ for like the majority of my life, which
What?
anyway. But just like an example, I guess, like what would the wiring be like for somebody that's an ENFJ versus like somebody that's ENSP? Is it ENS? Yeah, ENSP. So like the last two are different, right? And
Mhm.
so because I'm always curious, like how that works.
Yeah,
And how like those different personalities would function within, I guess, the same dynamics.
that is a really good question. I'm going to come at it from two different layers.
Okay.
There's multiple layers to it, which is kind of fun. We'll see how well it translates saying it out loud. So if we've got an INFJ and we've got an ENFP together, we'll
Mhm.
go with that. That way the ins are a bit different. Of course, we have the preferences. So that's like if you prefer introversion over extroversion. So we've got those different layers. So we're going to differ as introversion, extroversion. We've got judging and perceiving. So just bullet notes in case someone's like, "What
Yeah.
the heck do these words mean?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So judging tends to have more of it. They like to have things settled a bit more. They like to have plans decided. And when things are undecided, it can really stress them, add a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
Whereas those who prefer perceiving, they like to perceive multiple options. They like to see what's out there. And in many ways, they feel a bit better having more time to
Mm.
explore their options, and deciding on that final thing can stress them out. Like, did I choose the right one? So you can probably see, like, there's benefits to both. And like all these different preferences, there's so much beauty in each of them. We need that. Otherwise, if you were all J's, like Tiffany and I, we would
Yeah.
probably have everything planned and settled. And people be like, we need a change. Anyway, side tangent.
Seriously though.
But then,
Yeah.
oh, yes. So there's that. Like the person who prefers INFJ might feel more at ease with having some, I guess, more pockets of time to retreat in
Mm.
smaller circles or to themselves, but not like always going out and about and doing things to be like, ah. And they'd also want to have a plan, probably be a
Mhm.
bit more settled with this is what's ahead versus let's compare the ENFP. We'll just focus on those two in. As someone who prefers extroversion, they're probably going to be like, hey, let's have some variety. Let's go see things. Let's go do things. And since they prefer perceiving, let's do all the things.
Mhm.
I'm open to being more spontaneous. Let's try a new adventure. Kind of a different energy that you bring to the room.
Mhm.
So those are like one layer. And then we've also got cognitive functions, which has to do with the breakdown of the preference. We're not going to get into that because it is way too
That's a lot.
awkward to share. But it changes it, which is also really cool. Digs a little bit deeper into what your strengths are, what you might have are weaknesses. I like to think of them as limitations because
Mhm.
we all have limits. That's healthy. God made us human on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool.
But yeah.
I was just curious because I'm like, I know a lot about ENFJ, but the rest of them, I mean, I've looked into them all, but still
Mhm.
to like dive deeper, I'm like, that's a lot of
Mhm.
information,
Yeah,
you know, to like
right,
see how all of that kind of plays its own role.
right. Yeah, well, at least in the MBTI world, there's 16 different types. That's a lot of
Mhm.
different ways. And then
Yeah.
you add in, like, those cognitive functions, and you've got a lot of different ways of navigating the world. So, yes,
Mhm.
studying them all can be a lot. I would
Yes.
strongly discourage it, just to reduce overwhelm. So, but yeah, it helps being under if you hadn't I can just imagine those 2 people. Let's imagine the INFJ and the ENFP being friends. They could be really awesome friends. They have a lot in common. They've also got that intuitive feeling and
Mhm.
understanding how, "Oh, this is what you need, this is what I need." You can work with that
Mhm.
and have, I would argue, more fun together when you're aware of it and understand that about each other.
Yeah, I
The
think
ENFP
that
could help you loosen up, and the INFJ could be like, "Hey, let's slow down. Let's take a breath."
no, for real, for real. It's like so my best friend is an, INTP.
Okay.
Wait, no, INT no, shoot, is she an INTJ? Crap. No, I think she's TP. I know she's a thinker. So,
Okay,
I
yeah,
I
definitely an
can't re
NT.
yeah, definitely an NT. And so, anyway, it's just been really interesting, like, all of the decades that we've been friends to, like, really kind of figure out how we function together as
Mhm.
friends. And it's super funny. We have this whole thing where we'll text each other and just be like, "Okay, I need a thinker right now," or she'll be like, "I need a feeler," and I'm like, "Yay!" So then so then we get, like, really excited when the other asks for, like, our perspective because,
Yeah.
you can get kinda stuck in it sometimes, at
Mhm.
least for me, like, I definitely get stuck in feeler, and I'm just over here like, "I can't do anything because I have all the feels, and there's a lot of intuition happening, and there's just, like, what?" But then you add in
Yeah,
the J part too of, like, I need things done and decided, and I can't because there's too many feelings happening. And
right.
it's like it's just really funny because that's when I'll text her and be like, "Hey, girl, I need you to help me process through this thing. Is like, be a thinker for a minute. Help me get past all of this stuff." And so it's really cool how God will do that, like play at least with me too, like or
Mhm.
within my life. I've the people who I'm really close with, I do ask these kinds of things. I'm like, what is your personality like test? What is all this stuff? Because I obviously, like I said, geek out over it, but it helps me
Mhm.
understand them on a different level and try and like relate to them and or figure out how if there's something that's, like, happening that's bugging me, I can be like, "Okay, wait, is this bugging me because we process things differently?" Or, like, whatever the thing might be, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, but it also gives you language to kinda go, "Okay, let me sit here and kind of figure out why," instead of just being like, "Oh, they're bugging me and I don't really wanna figure it out right
Mhm.
now?"
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
No,
just
I
a
agree
whole
completely. No, it is so helpful. And even
Mhm.
at least having a slice of insight, a better understanding about your friends, about your loved ones is so helpful. I'm
Yeah.
pretty confident that my parents are SJs. So in the temperament world, sensing judgers, so guardians. Again, we need SJs so bad. They help the world keep going. And I'd also noticed, like, gosh, like I just can struggle sometimes with communicating so much and feeling like we're on the same page. And it was really helpful to realize, wait, I'm an NF, intuitive feeler, that has a very different flavor of looking at the world than an SJ. I tend to focus on those ideas, on metaphors, on possibilities. And they're like, what's
Yeah.
actually happening? What are the concrete details? And that's been
Right.
really helpful with at least better understanding, simply communicating with my mom and having more grace, like, right, she's focusing on different things. It's not a bad thing. It's just
Mhm.
different. That's been
Mhm.
really helpful. So sometimes when you are speaking those different languages, it can kind of make you feel like a crazy person. Like, why can't I connect here? What am I doing wrong? So
Yeah.
that really helps.
And I think that, like, will tie into at least, again, for me, I know not
Hmm.
everybody loves these things, but it's fine. Y'all are along for the ride right now. But, I just keep thinking about my future, like, marriage and how much of this that I've learned and developed and grown in with other people that are different, like personality types or spiritual gifts and, like, all the things, right? Like,
Hmm.
how can that play a role in that marriage, Because obviously I don't know who my husband is. Like, I don't know all that stuff yet. And it's like how I feel like a lot of us singles don't do this kind of work. And
Hmm.
then we like get into something and go, why is this person driving me crazy? Instead of sitting back and going, oh, wait a minute. Like again, it's the language piece, I feel like.
Yeah.
Uh, as an example, too, like my parents, actually the majority of the rest of my family are all SP.
Yeah.
So
Opposite.
like, complete
Yeah.
opposites, and I'm over here like so when I found that out, it explained so much of my
Hmm.
childhood and going they were just dealing with all of the things in the way that they knew how, and again, it wasn't wrong, it just was different than what I was doing and how
Hmm.
I was processing it, and so I think to, like, to tie that back into singleness and then marriage, like, it can be really good to develop these kinds of like the wording and the language to be able to have those kind of hard conversations. I feel like I've had so many conversations with like friends where I'm like, I tuck it away in the back of my mind and go, that's going to be something that may come up in my future marriage, but I've learned how to like have a conversation with somebody that I love and
Hmm.
care about. And I want a good outcome from like the conversation. So how am I gonna, like, sit there and, not be prideful, not be selfish, like,
Hmm.
actually listen to what they're wanting to say, and I think that that's such a good thing to do, obviously, because when you get to that point of a relationship where you're in a covenant, like, you're kinda stuck.
Hmm.
Stuck in a good way,
Yeah. Yeah.
but, like, how do you get through that stuff if you like, don't know like, you haven't had that practice, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, how much it's just helpful the more you understand yourself, not an obsessive I am the bomb.com, but the more you can understand about yourself. And like
Mhm,
you said, you're navigating relationships with other people and practicing that skill of having difficult conversations, of
mhm.
enjoying things together too, I would say. Like that
Yeah,
really just helps you build that muscle where they don't have to be quite as scary.
yeah,
I would also say, just as a fellow ENFJ,
yeah,
one of your top cognitive functions, again, we'll try not to go overboard, is harmony. And so it's extroverted
Mm.
feeling, and that's something that's really focused on kind of reading the room and making sure that the people around you are doing well and really wanting to have harmony. And that can also
Mhm.
make it even more scary to have those conversations that may feel gnarly. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean avoid them, but at least I know for me, it's also been really helpful. Like, okay, this is harmony kicking in. It's okay. This is a conversation that I need to do. I need to set that boundary. This is okay. That's
Mhm.
also been really helpful to have that language and understand. Like, it's not only scary, but it's like some things just feel scarier because of
Mhm.
the way you see the world.
Mhm.
And being able to
That's
name
good.
it can help you. Like, you're
Yeah.
taking care of me. We can move forward.
That's really good. I didn't even think about that, like, with the harmony aspect. Mm.
Yeah. And that's where going deeper can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and understanding more about how those different pieces go together.
Yeah. That's really good. I'm gonna have to sit with that one.
I know that, yeah. And that also I know came up with a couple of my clients I worked with, which one of them, she's married, she's also primary caregiver to their child, and had such a frustrating stuff happening in marriage. And like household, I'll just say household management. I mean,
Mm.
how many of us don't have that issue, even if you have roommates? Like, ugh.
Right.
But that was something that was really helpful because one of her core values, or I guess top strengths within the cognitive function world is, I want to say efficiency. I'm not, that's not quite the right term. I'm butchering it right now. But that was really helpful because she had more of a take of like, let's just get it done right. Let's do it once. And when you're trying to work in a collaborative atmosphere with your family, trying to be like, how can we team up together? That also helped her having some of those more difficult conversations with her spouse about, this is stressing me out and I
Yeah.
can't be the one doing it all. So how can we navigate this together? And that helped her having that additional just understanding of why it was
Yeah.
hitting her so hard. Like, just get it done. Being able to take that breath and then approach it with a little bit more calm.
That's good. Okay, so it's
Yeah.
story time.
Yeah.
Well, my roommate and I, we have almost a 10-year age gap. But so she was, like, living on her own for a while before, like, we moved in together. And so it's been pretty funny, like, she's had to relearn how to, like, live with somebody, and I'm over here having to learn how to, like, live with somebody else, and so that's a whole different dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so funny that we'll start one of us will start to do something, and then the other one will go, and then we have to be like, "Okay, it's fine." Like, not like it's not horrible or anything, it's just one of those,
Right.
like, learning curves, right, where we're gonna do things differently.
Uh-huh.
The things are getting done, you know? That's
Right.
okay. And so we've been living together for almost 7 months now, and, but it's been, like, relatively speaking, easy 7 months. Like, we've had a couple of conversations where we're like, "Okay, we're both a little frustrated, maybe we should talk about this." We also have, like, we have a word that we will use if somebody says one of us says something that, like, the other is either interpreting wrong or maybe needs a little bit more information around, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so it'll be funny, like, we'll just say that word, and in that moment, we have to stop whatever we're doing and sit down and, like, talk it out until the frustration goes away. But it's been so beautiful to be like, "Okay, this is, like, a great way to and healthy way to have these kinds of conversations." Uh, and to still be respectful, obviously, but also to, not hold on to it either. Like, because
Yeah.
we've both kind of been in those scenarios where it's like, oh, we're just going to stuff it and not worry about it, like we're
Mm-hmm.
just going to put it over here in this corner. But we came into this living situation going, we don't want to do that. We want to do things better this time around and like change some things up. So anyway, all that to say again, it's like I'm learning so many lessons that I'm like, okay, future husband. Like I've done the
Yeah.
things. I hope you've done the things because we're going to talk about all the things, instead of just brushing things under the carpet or
Right.
you know, not being willing to listen to each other and, like, hear it out. So,
Right.
yeah.
Ah, that is beautiful. That sounds, yeah, like you actually have a really healthy roommate marriage going on.
Yeah.
But it's super cool.
It's so nice, it's super fun, like, we get along very well, but she's extremely introverted. It's so funny, I'm like, "I'm your token extrovert," but we've gotten to this place where, like, if one of us has had a particularly hard day, we'll text each other before we know like, 'cause she works from home, I work at a school, and so
Mhm.
like, I'll text and say, "Hey, it was a rough day. May not wanna talk when I get home," or, "I do wanna talk when I get home," and then,
Yeah,
like, vice versa, like, she'll send a text like, "Hey, it's been a rough day. Don't really wanna talk when you get home," and I'm like, "Okay." So, it's just, again, like, that communication is so important, and it has helped us, like, really get past some stuff that I feel like could have been pretty gnarly if we hadn't
yeah,
been willing to just be like, we're gonna talk about this," or I'm gonna voice, "Hey, I need space," or, you know, whatever the situation might be. There's so many different things, but yeah,
right.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
huge. That's I love that visual. That's a lovely way to do it, and
Yeah.
more of us can do things like that.
Yes.
Speaking of someone who, I'm married to my best friend. He is thebomb.com.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it, just to talk with each other. Anyway, it
Yeah.
that sounds so simplistic, but it really doesn't have to be so complicated. We don't have to make it so hard. I do not have the
Right.
penultimate marriage. I'm not trying to say that, but that's really been so much of it, just practicing talking with each other about things.
Mm. Yeah, so good. Um,
Yes.
okay, one last question so we can wrap this up. So if somebody feels like they're consistently trying to be a different kind of person than they actually are, what's the first step towards embracing the way that God designed them?
I like this question so much. There are so many things you can do, but I will try to focus on one.
Okay.
So, one thing I would encourage is simply notice what's one thing that you like about yourself, one thing you can
Mm,
appreciate, even if you're very neutral, like it's okay.
right.
Depending on where you are. Let's say, I'll even say physically, like you really like your eye, or it's a particular passion you have, like, um, I don't know, you love dogs, but start practicing saying to yourself when you notice that, God, thank you for my eyes. Thank you for my love of dogs. This is a gift from you. Super simple, but
Mm,
practicing that, identifying what's something that you appreciate about what you have with you can be really helpful with reframing that it's a gift from God. And that can also help you start reframing other aspects of yourself. Um, to kind of do a little side story, so I get migraines a lot, and I'm not
mm.
thankful for migraines. I want to be absolutely clear, they suck. But what I can say is it's also been a gift in its own way about, wait, I need boundaries. I need to reconsider how much time I spend on tech. Maybe I need to adjust the lighting in my room. And really, when I'm learning how to work with the migraines, I actually have a really lovely life and things are less stressful. So that's more of a negative thing. But kind of with that idea of when you better understand what you bring to the table, what works well for you can
Mm.
also start to work with it more with
Yeah.
enjoyment. But to go back to that other basic gist, the idea of identify one thing, it could be more about yourself that you appreciate, that you can even like just a smidgen and start naming it and claiming it as a gift from God, that He gave it to you.
That's
And
good.
then
I
the
love
next
that.
thing, I do have a free gift for the community that's about digging into your temperament. So if that's also helpful, if you want some language, that can be another tool.
Yes, I will be dropping that in the show notes for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you. Where can everybody find you if they want to get
Yeah.
in touch?
So I would definitely encourage hopping on over to scoop up the Embrace Your Potential playbook. That's where you can join my community, get weekly encouragement and podcast love notes and different resources to help you walk out what it looks like to be God's beloved as the person He created you to be.
Awesome. I love that. And all that will be in the show notes as well. I just
Excellent.
want to thank you so much, Courtney, for joining me. It was a really great conversation. I'm glad we got to nerd out for a little bit.
Me too. It's been so fun. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, Epiphany Tribe. Until next time, see you later.